Hi everybody. Hi everyone, welcome to the Good Friday edition of Indycar. My name is Gordon Ross. At the top of the show today, I made a little statement which just said, drop the dead horse in favour of the sandpapered balls story. This is just to illustrate the level of what's considered newsworthy in the United Kingdom at the moment by our media. In the meantime, we've seen Theresa May do what I would call a touch and go visit in Scotland, where she basically hardly touched the floor of a factory unit in Ayrshire before she was whisked away within an hour to Newcastle to do another touch and go there, and then a touch and go in Northern Ireland, and finally ending up back at home in Westminster. And in each place she made a short speech saying how strong the union was going to be and what a wonderful future we were going to have as part of an isolated island in the middle of nowhere with no friends, no trade deals, and basically buggering ourselves up in the process. So the real news is not the dead horse. It's not the sandpapered Australian balls either, although that was a very funny and interesting little aside. We've also got the sideshow of the continuing farce of the Skripal attempted poisoning case, which is beginning to look more and more actually like a bungled deal to sell some kind of rather badly made nerve toxin to somebody else, either in Russia or from a Russian source to somebody in Great Britain. And it looks as if this stuff has accidentally got spilled somewhere in the house of the Skripals, and they've both been partly exposed to it. But the fact that they managed to walk around for 40 minutes, go have a meal, have a walk in the park, and then collapse leads me to think that this isn't really a Novichok agent at all. It's more like some kind of tranquilizer that they've absorbed somehow or other, because the way they're behaving is as though they've taken a couple of sleeping pills and then just fallen asleep on a park bench. If this really was Novichok, within seconds they would be paralysed, unable to breathe, and they would simply choke to death very quickly. And this is what Novichok agents are designed to do, to paralyse you completely, while your brain is still functioning for a while, and eventually you just die because nothing works in your body. Your nervous system shuts down. If it was a real nerve agent, it's got to be the worst nerve agent ever designed anywhere on the planet. It's the worst weapon you could possibly try to use on anybody. It would be easy just to walk up and shoot the man in the head, and it would be cleaner and more effective, and probably would leave no trace at all back to whoever did it. So we're being distracted in all sorts of different ways. We're looking at Australian balls, we're looking at dead horses' heads, we're looking at Russians being poisoned by mysterious people down in Salisbury, and this ongoing saga of the Skripals keeps on coming. The daughter is now recovering in hospital and is able to speak. Can she identify the attacker who has administered this poison to her father and herself? Her father, apparently in a worse condition, is still in a coma. But where is he being kept? And why has the Russian consul been refused all access to their citizens? Because usually if somebody is hurt, let's say a British person in Russia was shot or poisoned, then the British consul would demand, rightly, access to that British citizen to help them in any way they could, and even to provide medical assistance to take them out of that place and fly them back to their country of origin. And with the Skripals being basically dual nationality, living in the United Kingdom but still citizens of Russia, why were they refused access to the Russian consul? Well, we can only speculate about that. But so many things smell off about all of these stories. The whole lot seems to be not just smoke and mirrors, it's a dog and pony show. This is an entertainment programme rather than a news programme we're seeing from the BBC. But what are they distracting us from? Well, you saw the 1 hour session that Theresa May did: Scotland, Northern Ireland, Newcastle, and then London. So she's been to the bits of the United Kingdom where she thinks she needs to show her face, and she spent, what, half a day on all of these places if you add them all together, basically saying Brexit will be wonderful. Even though I said it was going to be awful before the vote, I've now changed my mind, it's going to be wonderful. It's not going to be wonderful at all. Did she say anything about how they were going to solve the Northern Irish border? No. She didn't say anything about that. Did she say how she was going to man and train all of the new Port Authority staff who are going to have to be put on top guard to make sure that nobody gets into the country illegally? All those new border guards, thousands of them, need to be trained and positioned at every port of entry in the whole United Kingdom, and there are lots of those. Where are they coming from? Are they going to train them in the next 12 months? Are they going to build new buildings in the next 12 months? Will a new border fence go up across Ireland in 12 months? Will they come up with a system which can magically deal with every single transaction of trade between Northern Ireland and the Republic in 12 months? Well, no, of course they're not going to be able to do that. And that's not what they're saying. They're not saying anything about anything. And that makes me deeply suspicious of all of this entertainment programming that we're seeing masquerading as news. To have a 19-year-old Australian poke himself in the eye so that he would cry in front of the cameras is frankly hilarious. I mean, it's pathetic. Why is it even news here? We're not in Australia. We don't like cricket. We don't play cricket much in Scotland. We don't really care whether the Australians sandpaper their balls or not. Frankly, that's up to them in the privacy of their own home, surely. But my point is, while all this is going on, what's really happening in the background? And what's really happening in the background is preparation for a hard Brexit. What's a hard Brexit? It's us leaving the European Union without being in the customs union and without being in the single market, because those are the two things that the British government has said it definitely does not want to do. And those are the two things that you must do if you want a trade agreement. So somewhere along the line, this little sum doesn't add up to a soft Brexit or a good Brexit, or one which is going to produce a wonderful future for the United Kingdom. It's going to produce a sudden cliff edge. And not only that, but if they don't fix the Northern Irish problem, which they don't look like they're doing anything about, and if they don't fix the problem of training all of these new border staff, bringing in all these new controls, sorting out which families they want to split up, which parents they want to separate from which European children, which European parents they want to split up from Scottish children or Welsh children or Irish children. How are they going to rip the country apart physically like this, splitting all these families up and separating them into different countries of Europe in a year? How are they going to do that and still remain in power? Frankly, I don't think it's going to happen. One of two things will happen. The Tories will stay in power, Labour will back them up, and we'll go dropping off the cliff edge to a hard Brexit where nothing works and nobody wants to talk to us, and we are struggling around trying to get trade deals signed with America by lowering our standards to the pathetic, unsafe levels that the Americans put up with in their food exports. Do we want that? Well, of course not. Nobody wants to be eating chlorinated chicken or burgers which are pumped full of steroids and prophylactic antibiotics, which the Americans are perfectly allowed to do in their food hygiene regulations, but would never pass muster here. This is the future that awaits us at the end of the Brexit road. We're following the yellow brick road towards this emerald city which doesn't exist. The Wizard of Oz being Theresa May here. And when you pull back the curtain, she's standing on an orange box talking into a microphone, and there's no magic there. There's absolutely no good Brexit at the end of this. And all of these distractions that you're seeing on the television are there just to mollify you so that you can go and have a nice Easter holiday without concerning your little head about what's really happening with Brexit in the background. The more they try and deflect my attention from the whole Brexit process, the more suspicious I get about what's actually going to happen at the end of this 12 months. If I was in business exporting at the moment, not only would I be worried about this, but I'd be preparing to move my manufacturing plant somewhere else, or I'd be preparing my own business to perhaps ship my goods through a second country, another third party somewhere else, who would then export it into the European Union. I'd be looking at doing a deal with Denmark or somebody like that who's in the European Free Trade Agents Association at the moment, and moving my goods through Denmark and then from Denmark into the EU. Now all of that's going to add cost to the process, and I'm probably going to lose orders by doing it, but it will be better than what awaits us with hard Brexit if we don't do anything. The whole whisky industry in Scotland must be absolutely bricking it at the moment. Plus, the salmon industry, what's going to happen with that? The fruit picking industry is buggered because they cannot get the staff they need to pick the soft fruit that goes into our jams and preserves. Think of all the raspberries and strawberries and other soft fruits that are grown on the east coast of Scotland every year that go into our jams and preserves. We're not going to be able to harvest those fruits without those foreign workers who come in just to do that one job each year, who live on a farm in a caravan for a few months and then go home again. They're never a burden on the state, and there's no reason why those people should be discriminated against. So, this Easter, don't forget that the world does not revolve around cricket, it doesn't revolve around rugby, it doesn't revolve around the Commonwealth Games. These are all things that were set up to entertain the British public, to keep us happy and mollified in our homes, thinking that the good old government's dealing with everything for us and we don't need to worry about a thing. Well, I'm sorry, you're wrong. You do need to worry about a thing. There's a lot of things, in fact, that you need to worry about. Perhaps if you're retired, you think, that's not going to really affect me, because I'm on my pension. Where's your pension fund at the moment? Where is it situated? It's situated in a bank, probably in England, and whatever funds are being managed for your pension are being managed by a company in London, which is supported by tax avoidance and tax evasion techniques and all the money that they make from that, and they've got your money invested all over Europe in different companies and different hedge funds. All of that can be affected because transactions will not be free into the European Union after Brexit. The cost of moving your money around different investments to give you a decent return is going to shoot up, so the return on your investment on your pension is going to go downwards as passporting ends. The company which administers your pension might even move out of London to Brussels or Paris or Stuttgart or even to Dublin. You don't know where it's going to go. But your pension will be affected by this. Not to mention the British state pension, the lowest pension in the entire Western world. It's so paltry. It's half of the next worst pension that you can see on the scale of pensions. We pay our pensioners poverty wages, a subsistence allowance in their old age, because we didn't pay them enough in the first place to pay into a pension pot. That's the problem. They were paid so poorly through their lives they didn't have enough money to invest it in another pension fund. So all of these things will come to pass. If you're a pensioner, you really need to start thinking about your pension and where it is and how much return you're getting on your investments, and start thinking about moving your investments to somewhere else. Because I guarantee you, if they're still administered in the UK, there will be problems later. All of this sounds terrible. I made a positive case for Scotland and England separating from each other and separating from Europe, so that Scotland could play the role of intermediary between the European Union, Southern Ireland and the rest of the United Kingdom. Scotland could play the role of trade facilitator and hub to help the British state, what's left of it, to deal with the hard Brexit that they've generated by keeping the border with Scotland open. And because both countries are outside of Europe, we can continue trading with each other, and Scotland can be used as an intermediary place where goods and services from England can be passed on into Europe without the transaction fees and without the tariffs that would be applied to Britain itself as a hard Brexiteer separate from Europe and outside of all of their arrangements. I made a case for that. I made a case for helping the United Kingdom by Scotland separating from the United Kingdom, doing a deal on the oil and gas, and helping the United Kingdom with its hard Brexit, so that both the UK can continue to survive and maybe eventually flourish once it recovers from the shock of Brexit. And in the meantime, Scotland can go its own way and make its own economic plans based on what Scotland needs and what Scotland's people need. Remember, we've been kept down for a long time, and our economic model has been forced upon us by Westminster. It's not something that we might have chosen for ourselves. But I do trust the government that we've got in Holyrood at the moment to come up with a better economic plan. And I think it's perfectly feasible for independent Scotland and independent England to keep trading with each other and to build up a new rapport which helps both of them to be outside of the European Union. Because let's face it, the reality is Scotland will be outside of the EU. There's no way back into it straight away, and we know that now. We will be taken out. So even if we do dissolve the Act of Union so that we can plan a better future, and we vote on that in a referendum, even if we do that, we're still outside the European Union. But that offers us opportunities to both help England and to keep up our large amount of trade with England and also our large amount of trade with Ireland, both parts of it, and the European Union. We'd be in a perfect position to connect all of these very different political systems together into something which will work with Europe. And I'm sure the European Union would be very grateful if Scotland performed this kind of service. So just remember, when you're hearing stories of Australians sandpapering their balls, dead horses' heads appearing in burns, or people being mysteriously poisoned by things that nobody understands, that don't seem to actually kill them, just remember what you're watching on the news is what's been chosen for you to watch. And what they've chosen not to show you is what you should really be thinking about. Whoever controls the media in a country can control the population, make them think what they want them to think. The British government's very good at giving you two options to think about. It presents a story, black or white, good or bad, and it invites you to form an opinion on that story. It does not invite you to think about the other things which they're not covering. And these are the things which this show, at least, is trying to keep your mind focused on. So go and have a nice Easter holiday. Try not to worry too much, but stay focused. Scotland has a task ahead of it. And our task will be not only to free ourselves from this muddle and this mess, but also to try and help our cousins and neighbours to the south, our friends in Ireland and our friends in Europe to reconnect in a way that makes some kind of sense. And only Scotland is in a position to do this. England can't do it because they have made a rod for their own back. They've drawn their red lines and they won't step over them. So they are going for hard Brexit. Scotland has the only opportunity in the UK to step back from Brexit and do something completely different. And I just say to you, just keep that in your mind for the next few months, that you're the only people in the United Kingdom with the ability to change Brexit, to change your own future. Nobody else in the UK can do it but you. And this is something that we have to remember. Scotland is unique. We have a mandate to vote to dissolve the Acts of Union so that we can plan a better future for us and a better future for both England and Ireland at the same time. And we could do it, and we could help both England and Ireland and Wales as well. I'm sorry, Wales, if I lump you in with England a bit there. But what's left of the United Kingdom and the Irish Republic and Scotland can all work together as individuals with completely different political aims and completely different economic systems. But there are ways of doing it, and Scotland can be the bridge between hard Brexit and Europe. Have a good holiday and keep thinking positively, stay focused and show this programme to your friends and neighbours. I'll see you soon. Have a good Easter. Bye.